Cardiovascular system physiology covers the mechanisms underlying blood circulation, including how the heart pumps blood, the role of blood vessels, and how blood flow is regulated to meet the body's needs. The cardiovascular system is essential for maintaining homeostasis, providing oxygen and nutrients to body cells, and removing metabolic waste products. Here is a detailed explanation of the physiology of the cardiovascular system. 1. Anatomy and structure of the heart. The heart is an organ that functions to pump blood throughout the body. The heart consists of 4 main chambers, 2 atria, upper chambers, and 2 ventricles, lower chambers. The structure of the heart consists of several main components that function to regulate blood flow. A left atrium and right atrium. The upper chambers that receive blood from the body or lungs. The left atrium receives oxygen-rich blood from the lungs, while the right atrium receives deoxygenated blood from the body. B. Left ventricle and right ventricle. The lower chambers that pump blood out of the heart. The left ventricle pumps blood throughout the body through the aorta, while the right ventricle pumps blood to the lungs through the pulmonary artery. C. Heart valves. There are 4 valves that regulate blood flow in the heart and prevent backflow of blood. The 4 valves are: 1. Tricuspid valve, between the right atrium and right ventricle. 2. Pulmonary valve, between the right ventricle and pulmonary artery. 3. Mitral valve, between the left atrium and left ventricle. 4. Aortic valve, between the left ventricle and aorta. 2. Blood circulation mechanism. The cardiovascular system has 2 main circulations: the systemic circulation and the pulmonary circulation. A. Systemic circulation. It begins with blood being pumped out of the left ventricle into the aorta. This oxygen-rich blood is carried throughout the body through large blood vessels called arteries. The arteries branch into smaller arteries and eventually into capillaries, where gas exchange, oxygen and carbon dioxide, as well as nutrients and waste products between the blood and the body's cells occurs. After the exchange occurs, deoxygenated blood is collected by venules, then veins, and finally returns to the right atrium through the superior and inferior vena cava. B. Pulmonary circulation. The deoxygenated blood collected in the right atrium of the heart is pumped into the right ventricle. The right ventricle then pumps the blood to the lungs through the pulmonary artery. In the lungs, the blood passes through the pulmonary capillaries, where gas exchange occurs. The blood receives oxygen and releases carbon dioxide. The now oxygenated blood returns to the left atrium of the heart via the pulmonary veins. 3. Cardiac cycle. The cardiac cycle describes the sequence of events that occur during one pumping of blood by the heart. The cardiac cycle consists of 2 main phases, systole and diastole. A. Systole. The contraction phase in which the ventricles contract and pump blood out of the heart. When the left ventricle contracts, the mitral and tricuspid valves close, while the aortic and pulmonary valves open, allowing blood to flow into the aorta and pulmonary artery. B. Diastole. Relaxation phase, in which the ventricles relax and blood flows into them from the atria. At this stage, the aortic and pulmonary valves are closed, while the mitral and tricuspid valves are open, allowing blood to flow into the ventricles. During the cardiac cycle, the atria contracts slightly earlier than the ventricles, ensuring that blood flows into the ventricles before the ventricular contraction occurs. 4. Regulation of heart rate. Heart rate. The heart rate is regulated by the heart's electrical conduction system, which consists of several main structures. A sinoatrial node, located in the upper part of the right atrium. It serves as the heart's natural pacemaker, generating the electrical impulses that initiate each heartbeat. B. AV, atrioventricular node, located between the atria and ventricles. Impulses from the SAW node are forwarded to the AV node, which controls the rate of transmission of impulses to the ventricles. C. Bundle of His and Purkinje fibers. Conduct impulses from the AV node throughout the ventricles, allowing for efficient ventricular contraction. These electrical impulses trigger the contraction of the heart muscle, leading to the pumping of blood. 5. Blood pressure regulation. Blood pressure is influenced by the following factors. A force of heart contraction. The stronger the heart contraction, the higher the volume of blood pumped, which contributes to increased blood pressure. B. Blood volume. The amount of blood in circulation also affects blood pressure. More blood will increase blood pressure. C. Vascular resistance. This resistance is influenced by the size and elasticity of the blood vessels. Narrow blood vessels, for example, due to narrowing of the vessels, will increase resistance and increase blood pressure. Regulation by the nervous system and hormones, including 1. Autonomic nervous system, controls the rapid response to changes in blood pressure. Sympathetic nerves increase heart rate and heart contractions, while parasympathetic nerves reduce heart activity. 2. Renin-angiotensin-aldosterone system, ROS, regulates fluid and electrolyte balance and affects blood pressure. When blood pressure is low, the kidneys produce renin, which stimulates the production of angiotensin II, which causes blood vessel constriction and increased blood pressure. 6. Blood flow dynamics. Blood flow is governed by the principle of Poiseuille's law, which states that blood flow, Q, depends on the difference in pressure, delta P, and resistance, R. Q equals frac delta P R. Blood flow velocity in blood vessels is faster in arteries and slower in capillaries, allowing sufficient time for gas and nutrient exchange. 7. Functions and roles of the cardiovascular system, namely, a distribution of oxygen and nutrients. The cardiovascular system transports oxygen from the lungs to body tissues and nutrients from the digestive tract to body cells. B. Transport of metabolic waste. This system transports carbon dioxide and other metabolic wastes to the lungs and kidneys for elimination. C. Regulation of body temperature. Blood flow helps distribute body heat and maintain a stable body temperature. D. Immunology. Blood contains immune cells that protect the body from infection. Hormone regulation, namely, hormones produced by the endocrine glands are transported through the blood to affect various organs and body functions. 8. Cardiovascular system disorders. A hypertension, high blood pressure. Increased blood pressure that can damage blood vessels and increase the risk of heart disease, stroke, and kidney failure. B. Coronary artery disease. Narrowing or blockage of the coronary arteries that can cause a heart attack. C. Arrhythmia. Heart rhythm disorders that can cause the heart to beat too fast, too slow, or irregularly. D. Heart failure. The inability of the heart to pump blood efficiently, which can cause fluid accumulation in the lungs and body. Conclusion. With this understanding of the physiology of the cardiovascular system, we can better understand how our body maintains its vital functions through blood circulation and heart regulation, and how disorders of this system can affect overall body health.